What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Anthony Joshua. I just recently saw an interview with Anthony Joshua. He was being interviewed by CompuBox TV, and shouts out to them. And this is actually when he was in the States, when he was in New York. He had a sit down with him, and they asked him a various of questions, and to start from the beginning, and they were asking him what he went through his mind. You know, people wanted to know what's going on with him. What is he thinking from day to day? And Joshua had this to say: I don't know what I was thinking from day to day. I was pretty much living one day for that day. I would set daily goals, and that's it. It was cool. It was interesting because people did want to know. I mean, of course, he was the most talked about athlete, at that time period. And the funny thing about that fight, his loss, was like the loss itself basically gave him more exposure than any other thing. He was already probably one of the highest researched fighters. When he lost, he became even higher. The interest became more intense. So I know a lot of times he just wanted to be by himself. He probably was bombarded with a lot of questions and a lot of people looking for reasons or whatever why he lost. Now, he goes on to say, I'm just don't want to overcomplicate things. I'm just really ready for a 12-round scrap with Ruiz. I want to take the rematch. He's talked about Fury and Wilder, and these guys, they're fighting, like the third and fourth tier competition where they should be fighting the top fighters. If you're the top fighters, there's no reason you should be fighting third and fourth tier. He said his resume is better than these guys' resumes, and they've been fighting more than half the amount of twice as much as he has. Okay. And he was basically like this. He was like, we have to do better as heavyweights. But when he was saying we, he was referring to them. That's just being modest. Okay. And he was talking about Fury. He was talking about Wilder too, because Wilder and Fury started around the same time. Okay. I think Wilder started in 2008 and Fury started in 2009. Okay. So knowing all this, Joshua was pretty much just saying, I have the better resume. I've been fighting 5-6 years. These guys been fighting twice as long. And we got to do better as heavyweights. Now, the funny thing about that is he's absolutely correct. Imagine these guys all worked at the same firm. And Wilder had been there 11 years. Fury been there 10 years. Fury runs the 23rd floor. Deontay Wilder runs the 25th floor. Then Joshua comes in and he gets the 27th floor. Now, these other two guys, they're doing the same. They've been doing the same thing. But 5 years later, Joshua on the 27th floor is able to do more and create more results for that company overall than both of those guys combined. Something's wrong with that. Right? Something is very wrong with those other two floors that belong to Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. And then you have a guy and the people, the management, right? They're going to look at that. They're going to look at the numbers and see, well, why is Joshua on the 27th floor doing more than these other two floors? They're going to see that. And the results don't lie. Okay, therefore, we're going to give Joshua more money. We're going to give him more money. We're going to give him more opportunity. We're going to give him more exposure. We're going to give him more praise. That's what's happened in the sport of boxing. Okay. But overall, that building, that company still has to produce a certain amount. One fighter can't just fight a bunch of fighters and the other two do the bare minimum, because that's what it seems like to me when you see these guys fight. And the question I have for Fury and Wilder's, he's lived his whole career cherry picking. But as far as Fury did take that bullet once upon a time, right? He fought Klitschko, beat Klitschko, upset Klitschko, right? Using the Gypsy Mayweather style defense. Won all those belts, unified champion, went out, crash and burn, right? Lost all the belts outside the ring. Comes back, has a terrific story of all of his trials and tribulations. Comes back, fights Deontay Wilder to a draw, but what has he done lately? You know, those are the questions you ask yourself. He hasn't done anything since then. He never even, he never defended the title, right? So what do we make of that? Versus Wilder, we already know who did he fight on the likes of Klitschko? No one. So we know all that. There's no need to really venture back in that. Both of these guys have not done enough. So by what Joshua was talking to in this interview, as heavyweights, they need to do better. They can't say, hey, I want to fight. You know, like Wilder has so many opportunities. It's so many people that he could fight, people that he probably should have fought. Povetkin, Ruiz, Parker, White, Usyk, Pulev, Charles Martin, even Adam Kalnaki. You know what I mean? It's just like the list goes on of the people that he could have fought and challenged himself at the time. Tyson Fury, same thing. He could have fought Oscar Rivas. He turned that fight down. He didn't want to fight Dillian White for the diamond belt. He turned that down. Instead, he fought Otto Wylien and had a hell of a fight with him. Now you ask yourself a question. What if it would have been Dillian White in there with Tyson Fury? You know what I'm saying? Those are the type of questions you have to ask, because now Otto Wylien is a guy that, sure, we didn't know where he lies because he hasn't fought anyone. He hasn't been challenged. But at the same time, this guy wasn't supposed to do that and give Fury that amount of problems. So again, you ask yourself, are these guys really the top? Or is it just really to be determined that eventually they will lose when they fight someone that can actually beat them? Forget where these fighters belong. Because according to many opinions, Otto Wylien, Tom Schwartz didn't even belong in the same ring as Tyson Fury, especially if Tyson Fury is supposed to be the best fighter. Right? So the question is, why are they there? But they were there. Otto Wylien is there now. He's there now. So what happens to Fury if he fights someone with a name, someone we've heard of, and he gives them problems? Okay. Deontay Wilder, he had problems with Ortiz. That was the biggest step up, besides Tyson Fury, right? But that was the biggest step up. Someone like Ortiz, someone dangerous, someone that people really didn't want to fight, honestly. I don't think people wanted to fight Ortiz. It was a high risk, low reward, right? But the thing is, you can only do what you can do. And Joshua is probably the highest, most researched fighter in the heavyweight, or really in boxing. Why is that, though? Because of everything that he's already done in the sport. Okay? Along with, of course, attitude and, role modelship and things like that. But look what he's done versus the other fighters and the other champions, so-called champions, lineal champion, WBC champion, whatever champion. Look what he's done in contrast in the heavyweight division. But anyway, it was a quite interesting interview. I'll leave the link below. Let you guys check it out. You guys tell me what you think. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.